And on this video, we're going to be discussing the state of the 2021 Oakland A's. Let's get into it. What's going on, baseball fans? Jeremy Laracuente here for the Baseball Banter Broadcast on the Laracuente Legend Network. And as I said in the open, today we are going to be discussing the state of the 2021 Oakland A's. But before we get into it, make sure if you haven't already done so, you smash that subscribe button down below, as it does a huge service for us here at the Laracuente Legend Network. And it helps us continue to grow and push up the YouTube algorithm. So let's get into it. Now, when it comes to the 2021 Oakland A's, they're going to be a very interesting ball club. Many have to believe that they are amongst the top two teams in the American League West to finish atop of that division. Yes, they're going to be battling with the Houston Astros, as well as, in my opinion, the Los Angeles Angels are going to be a much more improved team. So let's look at some of the things that the A's have done this offseason as we head into the states of the 2021 Oakland A's. So the first thing we have to discuss is a trade that we actually discussed here already on the channel, so I will leave links to that down in the show notes below, as well as up in the YouTube card. But the trade between the Oakland A's and the Texas Rangers, where they would send Chris Davis, the slugging outfielder, to the Texas Rangers in exchange for Elvis Andrus, the shortstop. Now, we covered this already in that deal. I do believe that it was just trading bad contracts between the two clubs. I also think that for the Oakland A's, this was a good move simply because they had to replace the shortstop spot that was lost and vacated by Marcus Semien heading over to the Toronto Blue Jays. Another video that we covered here on the Laracuente Legend Network, and I will leave links to that down in the show notes below. When it comes to having Elvis Andrus on the team, I do think that it is going to help the Oakland A's just a little bit better than having Chris Davis on the squad. Yes, Davis was a huge power threat at one point, but many fans believe that he's no longer that same threat. Personally, I think that he's going to be a good fit for Texas, but we'll get into that when we cover the Rangers. Now, as far as Oakland and Elvis Andrus, I think that it's a solid fit. They're going to need a dependable shortstop in the middle. Is he going to be a stellar Gold Glove defender? Absolutely not. But they weren't getting that from Marcus Semien anyway. Then when you look at what he can do, he's going to hit at the bottom half of the lineup, just a pesky at bat who can kind of lengthen the lineup a little bit more for the Oakland A's. Another move of significance that the A's would do this offseason was re-sign starting pitcher Mike Fiers. I think this, to me, was one of the most critical moves for the Oakland A's. When you look at what their rotation is featuring, they needed a veteran starter who can kind of be a stopper in terms of potential losing streaks or a continuer in terms of potential winning streaks. I also think having a veteran presence, the likes of a Mike Fiers, is going to help the A's kind of continue on in this progression that they are going towards being the very best of the American League West. And in terms of huge additions, in my opinion, the bullpen additions that were made by the Oakland A's were some of the very best in terms of totality. Yes, they would re-sign Yusmeiro Petit, which to me is a very underrated move because this is a guy who's been one of the more consistent yet underrated relievers in baseball. Now, yes, the argument can be made that he's coming in more mid to low level situations for the Oakland A's, but he's also locking it down at that point in time. And where he's used by his manager is not by his own determination, so he can't be knocked for being successful at earlier stages in the game. However, he has been one of the most consistent arms coming out of the bullpen for any team, let alone the Oakland A's. They would also add Sergio Romo and Trevor Rosenthal. To me, these are very good moves. Rosenthal obviously being the best of the two. Now, we covered the acquisitions, the signings of Yusmeiro Petit, Sergio Romo, Trevor Rosenthal, and the signing of Mitch Moreland, who I'll get into in just a moment, already on videos here on the Laracuente Legend Network. I will leave links to both of those sets of videos down in the show notes below. When it comes to the signing of Mitch Moreland, to me, this was another solid move because, one, it provides you some of the lost pop that Chris Davis was going to provide, but also a guy who's going to be able to spell Matt Olson at first and not really skip a beat defensively speaking. This is also going to be a guy who's going to be able to fit in that lineup a little bit more succinctly, in my opinion, for the Oakland A's. And the fact that Mitch Moreland really wouldn't cost them very much, to me, is just another added bonus to the signing of Mitch Moreland. Now let's get into the state of the rotation for the Oakland A's. So as I mentioned a moment ago, Mike Fiers, bringing him back to me was a very critical move. When you look at what this rotation is featuring, guys like Sean Manaea and Jesus Luzardo are going to be potential ace-type pitchers. But to me, they're going to need a little bit more seasoning and a little bit more upbringing with some veteran influence. To me, that's where Mike Fiers comes in. As well as having Mike Fiers, you're going to have a guy like Chris Bassett. To me, this is going to be a solid four-man rotation. And when you add in potential young starters coming up, making their major league debuts, competing for that final fifth spot in the rotation, to me makes a lot of sense for Oakland. This is going to be a solid front half of the rotation with potential add-ons in terms of their up-and-coming starting pitchers. Now, Chris Bassitt might not be a name that many people on the national level might recognize. However, this was a pitcher who had a phenomenal 2020 season with an ERA plus, according to baseballreference.com, of 181, where 100 is league average. So this is a guy who can potentially take the next step in his maturation process and really be a front of the rotation type arm for a very good team, in my opinion. Now, as we get into the state of the bullpen for the Oakland A's, this was a very interesting area as they would take two very big blows at the beginning of the offseason by losing Liam Hendriks. I will leave links to that video down in the show notes below. And Joaquin Soria to the White Sox and the Diamondbacks, respectively. So there were two very big holes that they needed to fill at minimum in terms of restocking and re-establishing this bullpen. They would bring back Yusmeiro Petit, so they would hold on to an asset that they already had, but by bringing in Sergio Romo and Trevor Rosenthal, they really bring back most of what was lost. Now, no, are the combination of Romo and Rosenthal going to be what Liam Hendriks and Joaquin Soria was? Probably not. But are they going to be able to provide some semblance of that back? Absolutely. This is also going to allow the Oakland A's to kind of figure out what they have in terms of some of their younger arms in that pen, while also holding on to the fact of being able to acquire some talent at the trade deadline if necessary. Yes, Oakland doesn't necessarily add a ton at the deadline most years, but when they feel like they have an opportunity to really go for it, and they are, to me, at this moment in time, on the very precipice of being able to take it to that next level in terms of postseason success, they may be able to look at this season as that turning point and go after some of the bigger names that may be available at the deadline. Now, as we get into the state of the defense for the Oakland A's, they have three of the most premium defenders at their positions in Matt Olson, Matt Chapman, and Ramon Laureano. When you look at what these three players provide, the level of defensive acumen and prowess that they possess is some of the best in terms of Major League Baseball as a whole. Now, there are going to be weak areas on this team in terms of defensive ability, namely every other position. However, Oakland can still catch the ball when need be, and while there are going to be runs that are lost, there are going to be runs saved by this defensive lineup as well. So I think that when you look at this, the state of the defense for the Oakland A's, it's going to be kind of a push because the three guys that they have that are premium quality defenders are going to be at such a high elite level and save them quite a bit of runs, that some of the runs that they're going to give up on the other ends, the other parts of the lineup defensively, are going to kind of even themselves out. So I do think that there's going to be room for improvement defensively for this team, but they also have some very high quality premium defenders at premium quality positions on this field. Now, as we get into the state of the offense for the Oakland A's, this to me is going to be the most interesting part of the 2021 Oakland A's. When you look at what this offense can be when healthy, Matt Olson and Matt Chapman can be a dynamic tandem at the corners of the infield. You also have Ramon Laureano, who to me is an underrated offensive player and can be getting even better. You also have a name that's not recognized on the national scale in Mark Canha, who is a surprise pick each and every year from one of the best and most underrated players in Major League Baseball. However, that's not to say that there aren't questions about this offense. What can the Oakland A's genuinely expect to get out of an aging Elvis Andrus? Can the Matts, the Olson and Chapman combination, remain healthy for the whole season? We know that there's going to be battles in spring training for the second base and corner outfield positions for the Oakland A's. What can they reasonably expect from those players that win out those positions? Answering these questions is really going to provide a better outlook as to what the Oakland A's are going to be capable of in 2021 in terms of the American League West and the American League pennant as a whole. So now, as we get into some closing thoughts here on the state of the franchise of the 2021 Oakland A's, to me, the A's are in a prime position to repeat as the American League West champions. I do believe that the Houston Astros and the Los Angeles Angels are going to be better than what they were in 2020. But that being said, I do think that Oakland still has this division if they can answer some of these questions in a positive way. Oakland has the potential to be a sleeper pick heading into the 2021 postseason. And if they can get on the right kind of run with the right players getting hot at the right time, this is a team that could go on a serious threat run in the postseason of 2021. But I want to hear from you guys. Let me know your thoughts on the Oakland A's and what their potential is for the 2021 season. Where do you agree with me and disagree on my assessment of the state of the 2021 Oakland A's? I'm going to hear those thoughts down in the comment section below, and we will discuss it further. As always, if you haven't already done so, make sure you smash that subscribe button down below, as it does a huge service for us here at the Laracuente Ledger Network. And while you're at it, make sure you tap that like button as well as the bell to be notified every time we drop new content here. That's the best way to keep appraised and keep in the know of what's happening here at the Laracuente Ledger Network. There's a ton more things coming in 2021, so you want to make sure you keep it locked in. And to get the full Laracuente Ledger Network experience, make sure you head over to patreon.com/Laracuente Ledger Network and join us there, as it is your support that allows us to continue bringing you this content each and every single week. So I will catch you guys when the latest news, notes, or my personal thoughts, theories, and opinions have to be dropped about the game of Major League Baseball. Peace.